something is shifting inside the NASCAR Cup Series garage, and if you have been watching closely, you already feel it. There are moments in this sport where a driver stops being a talking point and starts becoming a genuine problem for the competition, not a headline, not a novelty act, but a real, week-in, week-out threat that the best drivers in the world have to account for. That moment is happening right now with Shane van Gisbergen. Because it is one thing when fans start talking about a driver differently, but it is a completely different level when Denny Hamlin, Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, and Bubba Wallace are all publicly changing the way they talk about the same guy within the span of a single season. That is not hype, that is the garage telling you something real is coming, and today, we are breaking down exactly what is happening and why it matters so much for the 2026 Cup Series season. Shane van Gisbergen arrived in NASCAR in 2023 as one of the most decorated international road racing talents in the world. He carried 3 Australian Supercars championships, 80 career wins, and 3 Bathurst 1000 victories on his resume, an elite record built entirely outside of NASCAR. When he jumped into the Trackhouse racing car at the 2023 Chicago Street Course as a one-off start, almost nobody outside of international racing circles gave him a serious shot at winning. He won anyway, in dominant fashion, on debut, something that had not happened in the modern Cup Series era since Johnny Rutherford roughly 60 years earlier. He also became the first New Zealander ever to win a NASCAR Cup Series race, and it stood as one of the greatest debut moments in recent NASCAR history. But here is the important part: most people, even inside the garage, categorized it quickly. Road course specialist. Chicago suits his skill set perfectly. Great story, great moment, but let's see him on a mile and a half before we get too excited. Then 2024 reinforced that narrative almost perfectly. SVG ran the Xfinity Series full-time, won 3 races, and all 3 came on road courses. His best Cup Oval finish that season was 26th. The ceiling felt obvious, and the label felt locked in: road course weapon, oval ? That was the story heading into 2025, and for a while, the early results of that season did nothing to challenge it. 2025 was SVG's first full-time Cup season, and it started in a way that seemed to confirm every doubt. Phoenix, 31st, Las Vegas, 34th, Homestead, 32nd. Those are genuinely difficult results to look at, and no spin makes those numbers comfortable. But then something started happening. Once the schedule hit road courses, SVG was not just winning, he was embarrassing the field. He recorded 5 wins from 6 road course races, winning Mexico City by 16.5 seconds, Watkins Glen by more than 11 seconds, and the Charlotte Roval by more than 15 seconds. He became the fastest driver to reach 5 Cup wins since Dan Gurney in 1968, and he won Rookie of the Year comfortably. But the part of 2025 that actually mattered most for where we are right now happened quietly. Late in the season, the oval results started showing something new: a 14th at Richmond, a 10th at Kansas. It was not flashy, it did not make the big highlight packages, but inside the garage, people were paying attention. The road course ace label was still accurate, but underneath it, something else was starting to build, the kind of foundation that developed slowly at first, then suddenly all at once. Here is where the stakes shift completely. NASCAR brought the chase format back for 2026, and that single change rewrites the entire equation for a driver like SVG. Last year, the structure was forgiving in a specific way for him: win a road course, lock into the playoffs. Treat the oval rounds as extended classroom sessions without the full weight of elimination pressure bearing down. That safety net no longer exists. Every race matters for points now, every stage matters, and critically, the 10-race chase stretch at the end of the season contains 0 road courses. None. If SVG wants to be a genuine championship contender, not just a compelling storyline, he has to find a way to perform on ovals under playoff pressure. On top of that, Charlotte moved back to the oval layout for 2026, meaning 1 fewer road course on the schedule and 1 fewer guaranteed strong result to fall back on. The message from the format is clear: adapt fully, or the championship remains out of reach, no matter how dominant you are on your best surfaces. SVG heard that message, and his response in 2026 has been exactly what you want to see from a driver who wants to be taken seriously. The 2026 season opened with a direct statement from SVG himself at Daytona 500 Media Day. The goal was straightforward: maximize points every single week, no road course security blanket, just go score points. Then he backed it up. The Daytona and Echo Park Speedway Atlanta races, both superspeedway-style events, produced a 6th-place finish, his best oval result ever at that point. Last season it took him 31 races to record his first oval top 10. In 2026, it took 2 races. That is not a small step forward, that is a significant jump in competitive output at a track type that had previously been his weakest territory. COTA arrived next, and even though SVG did not win, Tyler Reddick held him off for the victory. He finished second and scored 48 points, jumping 11 positions in the standings all the way to 5th overall. Even on a day without a win at his strongest race type, he maximized the format perfectly, which is exactly the kind of points discipline the chase format demands. Then came Phoenix, his first real short-track oval test of 2026. He spun twice off turn 4 and caused 2 cautions, the kind of mistakes that were easy to point at and say, the ovals are still a problem. But here is what actually happened after those mistakes. He did not collapse. He did not fade through the field and post another 30-something finish. He recovered, fought back, and crossed the line 11th, recording 118 green flag passes, 7th best in the entire Cup field that day. That combination, the mistakes plus the recovery, is actually more encouraging than a clean, quiet top 15 where nothing went wrong. It showed a driver who is learning in real time and still producing competitive results despite the errors. After 4 races, SVG sat 5th in the Cup Series standings, a career high, with 2 top 10s already on the board. Then came Las Vegas, and this is the race that became its own story almost immediately. SVG qualified 16th, ahead of both Trackhouse teammates. On the very first lap, he got caught 3 wide, made contact with Eric Jones, and the car went completely sideways at full speed coming off the final turn. The footage NASCAR released showed a car sliding between 2 lanes of traffic, completely out of shape, at a speed where crashes like that almost always end very badly. Somehow, he held it. He brushed Chase Briscoe's car on the way through, which actually helped straighten him back out, dropped down to the apron, and kept going. Clint Bowyer on the broadcast could not believe what he was watching, and neither could the fans. The aftermath was ugly, the slide damaged the front splitter badly, the handling was a disaster for 266 laps, and SVG finished 36th, last in the field. He radioed in and said plainly, "I thought we were going to have a good day today. That is unfortunate. The result was terrible." But that save alone reminded everyone watching exactly what kind of talent is sitting inside that Trackhouse car, the kind of instinctive control that cannot be coached or programmed through data. This is where the story becomes something beyond results and standings, because when you look at what the most respected voices in the Cup garage are saying about SVG right now, in public, on record, it tells you more about where this is heading than any finish position can. Denny Hamlin said it directly after Las Vegas: the trend is continuing, SVG keeps getting better, and he is one of those elite superior drivers who find a way to adapt. That quote carries enormous weight. Hamlin is not a casual observer, he is one of the most experienced, analytically sharp drivers in the sport. When he uses the phrase elite superior drivers, he is placing SVG in a specific category, and he is doing it publicly. Joey Logano was more measured, acknowledging the superspeedways and road courses are where you expect SVG to be strong and noting Phoenix was still messy, but he made a point to add that SVG is doing a good job and that he is not taking anything away from it. From a 3-time champion, that kind of careful acknowledgement still means something. Chase Elliott said he was not surprised by the oval improvement because SVG has a natural feel for balance behind the wheel, and that observation matters because the feel Elliott is describing is not something you can install through data or repetitions alone. It is the foundation that separates good drivers from generational ones. Christopher Bell went further than anyone. He said the current weekend format, with its limited practice time, is actually handicapping SVG and slowing down how fast he can unlock his oval potential, and that in an earlier era with proper practice hours, SVG would already be much further along. That is a remarkable statement, one of the fastest drivers in the sport arguing that SVG's ceiling on ovals is higher than what we are currently seeing, and that the schedule structure is the only thing limiting the rate of improvement. And Bubba Wallace put it the most directly of all. He told Scott McLaughlin over dinner that SVG will win on an oval soon. He is really, really good. No hedging. No maybe someday. Soon. What makes this story even more compelling is how SVG himself is handling it. He is not acting like he has arrived, and he is not riding the road course reputation like a shield. He said plainly that he is still a long way from winning on an oval, that he would need some luck to do it right now, and that he does not want to win that way. He wants to earn it with real speed and real understanding of what the car is doing. But he also said something that should concern the rest of the field. He can feel the improvement every single week now. He understands what is happening under him far better than he did even a few months ago, and he is no longer out there feeling like a deer in the headlights. That shift, from surviving to understanding, is the one that tends to precede the big jump in any driver's development. He also acknowledged the tightrope the new chase format forces him to walk, more conservative in certain moments, but you still have to push. Getting that balance right is something even veteran Cup drivers struggle with, and the fact that SVG is thinking about it clearly this early in the season is a sign of a driver who understands exactly what the long game looks like. The question of whether Shane van Gisbergen can compete on ovals is no longer really a question. The results back it up. The quotes from champions back it up. The recovery drives and the green flag pass numbers and the career high standings position after 4 races all back it up. The real question now is simply timing. When does the oval win come? Because when it does, and most of the garage seems to believe it is a matter of when, not if, the entire conversation around this driver changes one more time. He is not a road course ringer. He is not a great story with a narrow ceiling. He is a legitimate Cup Series threat who, according to the people racing against him every single week, still looks like he is nowhere near his ceiling. Drop a comment with the oval track where you think SVG gets his first Cup win. We want to know what you think. If this breakdown gave you something real, hit the like button and subscribe to NASCAR Nation Report. We cover this sport every single week at the level it deserves, and there is a lot more coming as the 2026 season builds toward the chase.